symbols. Welding symbols. See, welding symbols are a set of instruction. Rather, we can say it's a set of information provided by the design engineer or design department to the welding engineer or welding operator. So it's a set of information. Many information are provided on the welding symbols itself, like the dimension of the weld, geometry of the groove or fillet, the applicable code, the process to be used. So many information are provided on the welding symbol. So it's very important. Basically, a welding symbol consists of three parts. First one is arrow line, second one is reference line, third one is tail. So a welding symbol basically consists of three parts: arrow line, reference line and tail. Arrow line, reference line and tail. I'll explain these three terms one by one. So the arrow line points the position. Arrow line indicates the position. How? Here in this case, the arrow points. The position where the arrow points is called as arrow side, and the position opposite to the arrow side is called as arrow side, other side. So in this case, this side will be our arrow side, and the opposite side will be called as other side. So the arrow indicates the position. The side where arrow points will be called as arrow side, and the side opposite to that will be called as other side. This is a T-joint, this is a fillet joint. Now in case of butt joint, also here this side will be called as arrow side, and the side opposite to this side will be known as other side. I'll write it down for you. Arrow side, other side. So the side where the arrow points will be called as arrow side, and the side opposite to that will be called as other side. Now I take one more example. So as I told you, this is a fillet joint, T-joint, and this is a butt joint, single V butt joint. Now we take an example. Suppose the now symbol is given from this side. Then in this case, our arrow side will be changed. Now this side will be called as arrow side. Why? Because arrow points to this side, and opposite side will be called as other side. So now our side has changed. This has become arrow side, and this has become other side. Similarly here also, now this has become arrow side. Why? Because arrow points on this side. So this has become now arrow side, and the opposite side will be called as other side. So the arrow indicates the position, the sides. Arrow indicates the side. I hope this is clear to you. Now I'll explain reference line. explain reference line. See, reference line is very important because most of the informations, rather I would say that most of the important informations are provided on the reference line itself, like the geometry of the fillet, or the nature of the groove, or the size of the weld, dimension of the weld, or the finishing of the weld. So most of the important information are given on the reference line. So reference line is very important. So we take an example of a fillet joint. Many elementary symbols and supplementary symbols are given on the reference line. I'll explain elementary symbols and supplementary symbols later on, but for your understanding, please, these symbols, this fillet joint symbol is an elementary symbol. This elementary symbol has been provided on the reference line. Similarly, this is a single V symbol. It's an elementary symbol, single V symbol, and this symbol has been provided on the reference line. Please remember, this line is the reference line, and the symbol of the fillet joint is given on this reference line. Similarly, this line is a reference line, and the symbol of single V is given on this line. So this reference line is very important because here we give the geometry of the groove, or geometry of the fillet. Similarly, we give the dimension also. We give the dimension here itself. We give the degree also here itself. I'll explain this later on, but first let me complete tail. Then after completing the tail, I'll explain you how to show dimensions on the drawing and how to show these elementary symbols on the drawing. First, let me complete tail. As I told you earlier, a welding symbol consists of three parts. Arrow line, I have explained arrow line. Arrow line indicates the position. Second one is reference line. Reference line is the one where most important informations are provided. I'll explain reference line once again, but first I'll complete the tail. The last part is the tail. Tail is used to provide additional informations. Some additional specific informations, like if you have to mention specific welding process, then you have to use tail. Or if you have to mention the applicable code, then that code is mentioned on the tail. And suppose if you don't have to mention, if you don't have anything to mention, then this tail can be omitted also. If you don't have anything to mention here, then this tail can be omitted also, like here. Suppose if I don't have to specify the welding process or applicable code, then this tail can be omitted. So we have finished tail. Now we'll come back to the reference line once again. Before explaining this reference line, let me tell you that we have two very standard standards, two very popular standards. One is American Welding Society, AWS, and second one is ISO. AWS and ISO. See, both these systems provide welding symbols, and there are slight difference in the symbols. I'll explain what are the difference and how they designate. So first we'll take the example of a fillet joint. If I have to show welding over here, a fillet joint, and on this location, fillet joint on arrow side. So to show the fillet joint on arrow side, the joint symbol will be given below the reference line. For arrow side, joint symbols shall be given below the reference line as per AWS. According to American Welding Society, the elementary symbol shall be given below the reference line for the arrow side. For the arrow side, below the reference line. And suppose we have to weld on this side, that is other side. If we have to weld on the other side, not on the arrow side, then this symbol shall be given above the reference line. For other side, symbol shall be given, for other side, symbol shall be given above the reference line, and for arrow side, the symbol has to be given below the reference line. For arrow side, the symbol has to be given below the reference line. This is as per AWS. This is as per AWS. And if we have to weld both sides, then if we have to weld on both sides, then this symbol will be given on both sides. For both sides, this symbol shall be given on both sides. For both sides, the symbol shall be given on both sides. For arrow side, the symbol shall be given below the reference line, and for other side, the symbol shall be given above the reference line, as per AWS. There is a slight difference in ISO standard. I'll show what is that difference. As per ISO, for arrow side, as per ISO, for arrow side, we have to use above the reference line. Means, suppose we have to carry out our welding on the arrow side. This is our arrow side. If we have to carry out our welding on the arrow side, then this fillet symbol shall be given above the reference line as per ISO. So please remember this difference. As per AWS, for arrow side welding, the symbol shall be given below the reference line, but as per ISO, this symbol shall be given above the reference line. And one more thing, in ISO, we have to show a dotted line also below the reference line. A dotted line has to be provided below the reference line in the case of ISO, not in the case of AWS. Now this is our arrow side. Suppose we have to weld on the other side, then how to present that symbol? How to write that symbol? Now if we have to weld on the other side, this is our other side. This is our other side. To weld other side, we have to show this fillet symbol below the reference line. Below the reference line on the dotted line. Not on the solid line, but on the dotted line. For other side welding, the fillet symbol shall be provided below the reference line on the dotted line for other side welding. So I hope this is clear to you. Now we will take example of a butt joint. In case of butt joint, again in AWS, for arrow side, we have to provide the symbol below the reference line. So this side is arrow side as per our welding symbol. This side is arrow side. This side is our arrow side and this is our other side. So to show the welding on the arrow side, as per AWS, we have to use, this is a V. For single V, this symbol is used. For single V, this symbol is used. So for arrow side welding, this V symbol shall be given below the reference line as per AWS. Now if our side changes, then what happens? the symbol has been given from this side. In this case, our side has changed. This side has become arrow side. Why? Because arrow points to this side. This side has become arrow side now, and this side has become other side. So, our welding is not on the arrow side, but our welding is on the other side. So, for other side, we have to give the symbol above the reference line. For other side, we have to give the symbol above the reference line. I hope this is clear to you. Now, we'll take some more examples. Now, we'll take the example of ISO. Now, I'll explain about ISO for butt joint. ISO for butt joint. As per ISO, see, this side is our arrow side. Why? Because this arrow points to this side. So, this side is our arrow side and this is your other side. And welding is on the arrow side. So, as per ISO, welding on the arrow side shall be given above the reference line. As per ISO, welding on the arrow side shall be given above the reference line. So, as per ISO, this symbol shall be given here. And one more thing, as per ISO, we have to give one dotted line also below the reference line. One dotted line below the reference line. Now, we will take one more example. We will change our side and see how the drawing changes. Now our side has changed. This side has become arrow side and this side has become other side. I am talking about ISO. Please remember, this is ISO. So as per ISO, welding on the other side. Now our welding is on the other side, not on the arrow side. So welding on the other side shall be given below the reference line, and one dashed line shall be also there. So below the reference line, this B symbol shall be given. As per ISO, welding on the other side shall be given on below the reference line. So I hope this is clear to you. Now I will show you how to represent the drawing, how to provide the drawing on the symbols, how to provide the dimension on the symbols, not drawing, dimension on the symbols. See, as per AWS, the dimension is mentioned in inches. Dimension is mentioned always in inches, like quarter inch, 3/8 of an inch. And as per ISO, the dimension is given in mm, 6 mm, 8 mm, 10 mm. So this is a basic difference in AWS and ISO. Now I take example of a double V butt joint. So this is a double V groove. Double V groove. Depth of our bevel is 6 mm on both sides. Depth of our bevel is 6 mm on both sides. 60 degrees is the bevel angle. And spacing is 2 mm. 2 mm spacing. 6 mm depth of the bevel, 6 mm on both sides. This side, 6 mm both sides. 60 degree both sides bevel angle and 2 mm spacing. So how to show this on our symbol, welding symbol? Tel can be omitted. If I do not have to mention welding process or applicable code, I can omit the tail. So I have omitted the tail. Now, since it's a double V group, so V shall be given on both sides. This represents double V group. 60 degree. How to show this 60 degree? Here you can simply write 60. So it has become 60 degree on both sides. Depth of the bevel 6 mm. In ISO, you have to simply mention the depth on the left side. Always on the left side of this elementary symbol. So here I will write 6. Here I will write 6. 6 mm depth of the bevel is complete. Double V group, 60 degree bevel angle and 6 mm depth of the bevel. Now, suppose I have to mention this in AWS system. So for AWS system, how I will represent? So as per AWS, we have to mention the depth in inches. It's 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch. And this dimension shall be provided in the bracket. So 1/4, 1/4. Always on the left side. Both in ISO and AWS. This dimension has to be provided on the left side. But in AWS, we have to mention the dimension in inches and under bracket. And in ISO, no brackets. And the dimension shall be mentioned in mm only. So this is complete. I hope this is clear to you. Now I'll take one more example. Now I take the example of a fillet joint. How to show dimension on a fillet joint? First, I show the AWS system. In AWS system, for a fillet joint, only leg length is given. Please remember, only leg length. Only leg length is provided. So suppose if our welding is here and leg length is 1/4 inches, then similar, this is our arrow side. So for arrow side welding, we have to provide the symbol below the reference line. Below the reference line and the leg 1/4. Now if I put the symbol over here, and welding has to be done on the opposite side, that is the other side. Now this side has become arrow side and this side has become other side. So for this fillet symbol shall be given above the reference line. Now we will take example of ISO. As per ISO, in ISO we can show leg length as well as the throat, or either we can show leg length or throat, or we can show both. In ISO system, leg length can also be shown on the drawing. Leg length can also be shown on the drawing, and the throat can also be shown on the drawing. Let me explain you what is leg length for those who don't know. Suppose this is our fillet joint. These two dimensions are leg length. These two are called as leg. Leg. So this length is our leg length. And this is also our leg. And what is a throat? Line perpendicular to this is a throat. So this is a throat and this is your leg. So in ISO system, both leg length, either leg length or throat, or both can be shown. Now I show you how to represent this leg length and the throat on the drawing. So as per ISO, leg length and throat can be given. See, leg length is represented by a symbol Z. Leg length is represented by a symbol Z, and throat is represented by a symbol A. A. This is your English alphabet, small a. So throat is given by A and leg length is given by Z. Now suppose if our leg length is 6 mm, leg length is 6 mm, then like this we can provide on this symbol. This is your arrow side. Once again I will explain to you. This is your arrow side. This is your other side. As per ISO, the arrow side welding shall be given above the reference line and one dotted line has to be given below the reference line. Arrow side welding above the reference line and the dimension. And one more thing, this 6 is the leg length. So we have to write Z also. Z6 means the leg length is 6 mm. Z6 fillet. We'll take one more example. We'll change our side and then see what happens. Now, our welding is on the other side. This side has become arrow side and this side has become other side. So, now we have to weld the other side. For other side, in ISO, the symbol is given below the reference line. Symbol shall be given below the reference line, and if our leg length is Z, then we will write on the left side Z6. Means it's a fillet joint welding on the other side and leg length is 6 mm. I hope this is clear to you. Now as I told you, the sign, single V sign, fillet sign, double V sign, these symbols are called as elementary symbol. So we have many joints like single V, double V, J, U, W. So we have many elementary symbols. I'll write down all those symbols for you. So friends, now I'll show you the elementary symbols. For single V, on the reference line, this V symbol is used. For single V, this is our reference line, and on the reference line, one V has to be given for single V. For double V, V on both sides. V on both sides. For double V group, single V group. For a square butt, this is your square butt. For square butt, parallel line has to be used on the reference line. This is your reference line, and two parallel lines has to be used for a square butt. For single bevel butt, see, this one is straight and this one is beveled. For single bevel butt, one straight line and one angular line, like this way. One straight line and one line at an angle. So this is single bevel butt. Single bevel butt. For single bevel butt joint, this elementary symbol has to be used. Now this is your single bevel with broad root face. Broad root face, this symbol shall be used. Single butt, broad root face. And for double butt, this symbol shall be used. One line straight on both sides and one line at an angle. Double bevel butt. For U joint, single U joint, this symbol shall be used. This is a single U joint, and for single U joint, this joint shall be used. Single U. Now for double U, I'll write. double U joint, for double U, for double U joint, this symbol shall be used. And for J joint, this is your J group. For J group, we have to use this symbol. So these are some of the most common and most important elementary symbols. So I hope I have explained these symbols to you. Now I'll explain some of the supplementary symbols. Supplementary symbols are some additional information like concave, convex of the weld, or the finishing, or side joint or field joint. So I'll show how to represent supplementary symbols on the drawing. One of the most supplementary symbol is weld all round. Suppose we have to weld all round throughout. Then at the junction of arrow line and reference line, the junction is here. Junction of reference line and arrow line, at the junction a circle shall be drawn. At the junction of arrow line and reference line, a circle has to be drawn for weld all round. Means to weld all round throughout on the periphery, this symbol shall be used. This is a supplementary symbol. One more very important symbol is field joint. Suppose instead of fabrication shop, we have to weld a specific joint at the site, at the erection site. Then for field joint, at the junction of arrow line and reference line, this symbol has to be used. A flag like symbol. A flag like symbol. So this symbol represents that this particular weld has to be carried out, this welding has to be carried out at the site, not in the fabrication shop. This is field joint symbol. Field joint symbol. So weld all round and field joint symbols are very common in the drawings. That's why I explained it. Now one more very important symbol is can you recognize this symbol? This symbol means flush grinding. Means this reinforcement has to be grinded up to the level of parent metal height. This is your parent metal and this is your parent metal. So this weld has to be grinded up to the height of the parent metal. Means complete same height. So for making complete height, this symbol shall be used. For finishing, for full grinding of this weld metal up to the height of parent metal, this symbol has to be used. Similarly, for concave and convex, this symbol has to be. These symbols are used for concave and convex welding. So friends, these are some of the very commonly used supplementary symbols. So I hope I have explained the basic concept behind welding symbols. See, this is the first part of our welding symbol topic, and if you like this this topic, and if you ask me, I'll carry out one more video session on welding symbols, in which I'll bring some more depth on this topic. So thank you very much.